Hello and welcome to another episode of AWS Cloud Bytes. Today we are going to talk about AWS CloudTrail. AWS CloudTrail service is one of the monitoring service in AWS, so stay tuned. What is AWS CloudTrail? AWS CloudTrail is a service that records and monitors AWS account activities. It also provides you a detailed history of all the actions that have been taken in your AWS account. This is basically a monitoring and auditing kind of capability that you can bring in. And this can give you a lot of help when you are looking for who did what. What is the purpose? Let's talk about the purpose of AWS CloudTrail. The primary purpose of AWS CloudTrail is to enhance visibility and also have accountability in your AWS account by capturing API calls and associated events. Let me give you some overview of monitoring and logging. The AWS CloudTrail services, it provides you a crucial tool for logging and monitoring. It allows you to track a lot of events such as insights, you have management event, you have data event. You can track each service, what kind of event each service is performing. You can track the changes and you can look the activities that has happened across various services. That kind of capability this AWS CloudTrail brings in. Let's look at some of the basics. CloudTrail as a AWS service for logging and monitoring. This service, CloudTrail, is designed as a dedicated AWS service specifically focused on logging and monitoring activities within your AWS account. There is a difference between what a CloudWatch is versus CloudTrail. We'll cover that a couple of slides down from here. But the idea is that this is the primary focus of CloudTrail is to log and monitor activities within your AWS account. What exactly it captures? It captures API calls and related events. It captures a wide range of events, including API calls, AWS Management Console sign-ins, and other key activities. What exactly it provides? CloudTrail maintains a comprehensive list of API usage history. It enables you to review and analyze the actions performed within your AWS environment. So in the past, somebody has done something, you can use this history of AWS CloudTrail to actually go and look at the person who has committed some of the changes. Some of the key features of AWS CloudTrail. First feature is around CloudTrail, which is a service that is automatically active upon creation in AWS. You can have a CloudTrail created, but by default, this is already active, available. I will show you some screens where you can go and create a log, AWS CloudTrail, and you can save it within the CloudWatch log or on the S3 bucket, depending upon where your requirement is. But this is automatically enabled when you have a AWS account created. It gives you a granular insight upon AWS account activity. One of the standard feature is the granularity of the information that is provided by AWS account. All the activities that are being performed has detailed information about who did it, what, and when. It tracks changes made to AWS resources. So CloudTrail track changes to all the AWS resources that you have, allowing you to trace modifications and understand the impact of those modifications. As I earlier mentioned that it supports multi-region trail creation. So you can have a single region or you can have a multi-region depending upon your DR setup, or if you want to have multi-zone applications running. CloudTrail can have a single trail created that supports multiple regions. The next one is integration between CloudWatch logs with CloudTrail. So as I mentioned, you can store all the trails on S3 bucket. You can also store all this information in CloudWatch logs. So there is a seamless integration between CloudWatch logs and CloudTrail. Now, one of the feature is the continuous logging and insights. Basically, there are three kind of data set that are getting logged. You have management events, you have data events, and you have insights. data is associated with type of service. So you can say S3, I want to look at all the write operations and I want to log those write operations in the CloudTrail. You can do that. Or you can choose any other service that is eligible or has integration. I believe most of the services have integration with it, but you can see DynamoDB and SNS and a lot more services in the dropdown when you have data integration. You can have insights upon the API request and other metrics. Management is more of when the resource is created, when it is deleted, when it is modified, you can actually track all that event. Last but not the least, CloudTrail, Lake, and Event Data Store. This is a new thing that was introduced recently, and CloudTrail Lake and Data Event Store is basically a storage lake for event data. So whatever data you are capturing as part of the trail can be sent to event data store. You can run a complex SQL-based query in that event data store. Obviously, there are additional charges to create a data store, CloudTrail Lake, for the event data storage. Now, the CloudTrail Lake converts the existing events that are like the events are as a JSON, and the way they convert is like they convert it to Apache ORC format. Like ORC is a columnar storage format that is optimized for fast retrieval of data. So events are aggregated into event data store, which are immutable, which is required in certain cases when you want to have an audit log. You don't want the audit to be updatable, so it should be an immutable collection of events. Couple of things, the data can be stored up to 10 years, depending upon 1 year extendable retention pricing. And there is another option for 7 years, I guess, which is like 7-year retention pricing option. Now, access to CloudTrail console, as I mentioned in the starting of the video, it stores all the events that happened for 90 days in the recorded API activity. So you have this information. The way we are doing, we are streaming all this data to external aggregators, log aggregators. Like we have all this data from CloudWatch logs aggregated through Kinesis stream in an index, and it can be an index within Splunk, or you can have Sumo Logic, you can have Datadog, those kind of setup where you push all this information and then you build dashboards on top of it that can give you near real-time data, because all this data streams as soon as it is published in CloudWatch. So you can have a CloudWatch subscription along with the CloudTrail. So once the CloudTrail is getting created, you can say, I want this data in CloudWatch. And then you can just push this data from CloudWatch to any log aggregator or any application that can build dashboards in near real time. You can also do that same thing using S3 bucket. So there is no hard and fast rule going one way or the other. Moving on, how does CloudTrail works? So I just have a picture of CloudTrail data. You can see that CloudTrail events are getting captured, and these events are then getting logged in CloudWatch logs, which is optional step. It can go to S3 bucket, and from there also it can be picked. So there are like two ways you can get this data captured. Either you can put in S3 bucket or put that in a CloudWatch log. Now there is a trigger being shown. You have this Lambda function. In this case over here, this Lambda function is reading the CloudWatch log and pushing that to an Elasticsearch service. And then you can have a Kibana dashboard. So this is how it is. This one is capturing events, but saving that events along with the CloudWatch log. This is an optional thing. It will also store this information by default to an S3 bucket, just for FYI. Service generates event, CloudTrail logs and store the events. Let's talk about two commonly used service, CloudWatch versus CloudTrail. By definition, CloudWatch is all about monitoring service for AWS applications and resources, which means anything that you're hosting, any resource that you're creating, you can have CloudWatch logs, alerts. CloudTrail specifically for monitoring service that record activities in your AWS account. It's basically a monitoring service that will look at all the activities that you're performing, which means all the API call. Behind AWS console, it is all the AWS APIs that are being called. So monitoring is basically capturing all those API calls that you're making through either console, sign in, or by using the CLI. The monitoring aspect is CloudWatch monitors applications and infrastructure performance in the AWS environment, while CloudTrail monitors actions in the AWS account. What is the usage of CloudWatch? So CloudWatch is used to collect and track metrics, collect and monitor log files, and primarily set alarm and visualize. On the other hand, the questions that CloudTrail addresses as who made a request, which services were used, what actions were performed, what parameters were used, what response elements were returned by the AWS service, and those kind of questions. Moving on to the next slide. Now, in order to enable AWS CloudTrail, you can go to AWS Management Console and find the CloudTrail service or do a search on that, and you can create a new trail. I'm just showing you a dashboard with one of the trail that I created earlier. It's called Management Events. Once you create a trail, basically there are other settings that you have to perform. It's a 3-step process. I will show you the screenshots. Configuring settings and storage location is performed. So you can look at this particular screen. Step 1 is to give a name. So you can give a trail name. Then you can choose an S3 bucket or create a new one. It is just creating a new one for me in this case, in this snapshot. Now you can encrypt the log, the trail log. By default, it is enabled. So you can disable, but I will recommend keeping it enabled. And you can have a KMS key defined. Once you fill in all this detail, when you move on to the next step, this is more of choosing the log events. Now, what all events do you want to log? As I mentioned, there are management events, there are data events, and insight events. So if I select management events, what kind of events that you want to log? We are saying API activities like read and write should be logged. Primarily, when you're doing CloudTrail, you're more focused about what kind of writes are getting performed. You can have a read log, but it all depends upon your requirement. Also, I will exclude AWS KMS events because these events will be like encrypt and decrypt keys. So I want to exclude those kind of API calls. Then there will be RDS data API events. So we may or may not want to have them. So we can exclude them. If we choose the data events and if we choose the insight events that were shown in the previous slide, those 2 checkboxes on the top, you'll get a drop down like this, select a source. Now this select a source is basically a service, an AWS service that you wanna have a data event tracked around. So if I choose S3, it will be more of what kind of event on S3 you wanna track. Maybe a write event. So if I do a selection over here, it will give you more options. The insight events, as I mentioned, is more of a API call rate, API error rate. Those kind of metrics you want to measure. Then you can do a checkbox around these two. CloudTrail and security, enhance security through visibility. So CloudTrail enhances security by providing clear visibility into all activities of your account, empowering you to detect and respond to potential security threats. This can be done if you have a near real-time dashboard that can provide you all this information, because if there are certain anomalies in your resources that you can see, there is a change, there is a spike, there is a pattern, you can use the CloudTrail to at least draw you or give you some insight. There are other tools or services within AWS that can give you some insight, but the details around what activities are being performed can be given by CloudTrail. You can monitor for unauthorized access. You can detect changes in AWS resources and can respond quickly. AWS CloudTrail and compliance. Primarily when you work in a large organization, CloudTrail plays a crucial role in supporting regulatory compliance by providing detailed audit trails and logs that can be used for compliance reporting. It can also generate a comprehensive audit report using CloudTrail data, ensuring accountability and traceability. CloudTrail ensures accountability and traceability by recording all actions performed within your AWS account, supporting a transparent and accountable operational environment. What are the best practices? Okay, guys, I have logged into AWS console and I want to show you a quick demo around CloudTrail. I recently clicked on CloudTrail. That's why it is showing up here. Otherwise, you can go in this and search for CloudTrail. It will show you CloudTrail as a service. I have certain limitations in this particular AWS account, so I may not be able to perform or do everything, but let me show you how it works. So if I go and create a trail, it is giving me a quick trail create wizard rather than the regular trail where I can select multiple things. I can have a 3-step process, but this one looks like this is just going to be a single step process. So let me create a trail. Now you can see there is a AWS S3 bucket. This trail has been created. It is in US East. It is multi-region. For my role, I have a disabled insight. This is not an organization trail. There is no log prefix. There is no log watch, like CloudWatch log over here. And the status is logging. Let me go to this. There is a folder, AWS logs. This is the account number, and then there is a trail. You can see there is no data as such. We'll have to wait for a couple of minutes, but in the meantime, let me at least do a couple of things. Maybe I create an EC2 instance. It's going to record as a management event. Let me launch an instance, test EC2, and I'm gonna take whatever is available, which is free tier, T2 micro. So I will not do SSH. I just want to demonstrate. Let me see if I can launch it. I can create a key pair. I'll create a key pair and then launch. I'll do a launch. You can see that the state is pending. And if I go to this, you can see that there is a new folder for the region. 2023, 12, 20. You can see there is a log data. So you can see the event history is showing up here itself. I don't even have to go to the S3 bucket and download the file, but you can see that what I did was I deleted a trail just before I started recording. I created a bucket, and this is like a policy was created and associated with the bucket, and I started logging. If I look at the full history, this is coming from the event history that this logs. You can see it created a key pair. It has logging started, and you can see I did a console login. It is continuously logging. If I sort by, it's not allowing me to sort here. which you can do easily with CloudWatch logs or any log aggregator. Now I created an EC2 instance, and you can see that this run instance command was created. So this execution happened of run instance, and this is recorded as an event. So if you look at the order of execution, we started logging here. The CloudTrail was created. And then this put bucket is for the log. As soon as the trail was created, this bucket was created to store the CloudTrail information. Then we created key pair and saved that. We created a new security group and then executed the run instance. If I open the run instance, it will give you information about which VPC, which AMI that I chose. If I click on this, you can see the AMI is I think it should be public images. This is the Amazon image, owner is Amazon. And you can see this is the Linux image that I used on the EC2 instance. Similarly, there are other information. I created the key and gave this name, test_key. And this is all the information in JSON format. So hope this helped. You can also see that they are having this lake console. You can see this is the event history, which was recently added. You have this lake dashboard where you can have event data stores, and you can have integration with other services, while you can also do queries in that store. So this is basically an event. You can rerun the events and see how things happen in what order. It's a pretty powerful tool. If I go back to the dashboard, I have management events. If I go here, unfortunately, I won't be able to edit this to show you that if I enable it, looks like it is allowing me to do that. So if I enable this, I'll just give the same name. CloudWatch trail logs, management logs, and you can see the policy document that will be created. I can show you. This is what will be created if I save the change. Okay, now you can see a couple of things. Firstly, the trail location is an S3 bucket. And then log file validation is disabled in this case, and there is no notification, SNS notification. The trail is multi-trail, and it is not enabled at org level. So another thing is that it is not encrypted. Now the second part, which is this one, is an optional thing. CloudWatch log group is created, and this is going to be the CloudWatch role. So if I go to the log group, if I go to CloudWatch and open that into a new tab, and go to logs, you can see that there is a log group for CloudTrail, and you can see that it has started pushing data based on what all events are happening, and you can see what kind of events are getting recorded, who the user is, what is the access key, all that sort of information. So I hope this helps. I'm gonna shut down this EC2. This one is running. Let me terminate. And let me go to the management log. I can stop logging and delete the logs. The CloudWatch logs will stay, and I have deleted the CloudTrail, so there is no more trail. And also the EC2 instance is getting terminated. It's all done. Yeah, that's all for this particular lab. This is the end of the episode. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, please like, share, subscribe, and press the notification bell icon for future updates. This is your host, Bhavesh Kumar, signing off. Thank you.